there's a growing sense of nihilism from our generation that essentially feels frustrated because we see the system as broken. Mm-hmm. A lot of us are in a moment where, like Alexis said, getting crushed by student loans. Inflation is absolutely ridiculous at the moment. A lot of my classmates, because I said I just got my master's, so a lot of my classmates are looking for jobs. Thank you. Only 4 of us out of 20 got jobs.
Wow.
That's just a small taste of the new MSNBC special airing tonight. It's called Black Women in America, The Road to 2024. My colleague Simone Sanders Townsend and MSNBC legal analyst Melissa Murray traveled the country speaking with black women to get their honest take on the election and the state of our politics. Joining me now is the president of the NAACP Legal Defense and Educational Fund, Janae Nelson, who participated in the special. Janae, good to have you on. Black women have been crucial to this electoral process and electoral success of the Democratic Party specifically. Many Democratic politicians clearly understand this, but do you think they also have a deep enough understanding of the issues that motivate black women when they cast their votes?
That's such a great question, Reverend. I think that both parties don't focus on the complexity of Black women and the power of our vote and voice. I was thrilled to participate in this special because it is such an understood segment of the electorate. And Black women have carried, as you noted, many elections, many outcomes, and have not gotten the deserved attention that we should have. And we're not a monolith. We share many common interests, many shared struggles, but we also have as much nuance as any other group. And it's important to explore that, especially when you think about all the critical issues on the ballot in this election, from racial equity to reproductive rights, to student loan debt, to the economy. All of those are issues that impact Black women in very specific and particular ways.
Now take a listen to what one young black woman voter from North Carolina told Simone and Melissa in this clip. Take a listen.
The first time that I was able to vote was for Hillary Clinton. That was my first and last time. Because I felt like, I felt hope that Hillary would win. I felt excitement from the community around me. I just had so much hope. And then look what happened. And so now I'm like, did my vote really matter? I don't know.
What's your message to young black women voters who are grappling with a sense of pessimism about whether their vote has an impact?
Your vote absolutely has an impact. There are a lot of structural reasons why the popular vote does not always win the day, but absolutely it sends a message to your leaders when you vote that you can hold them accountable, that your vote is important to keeping them in office and holding them to account and holding them to be responsive to the needs of you and your community. I think it's also incredibly important for people to recognize that the presidential race is not the only race on the ballot. You will be voting for governors or city council members or sheriffs or coroners or tax assessors that can affect your everyday life. So even if your presidential pick did not actually win due to the Electoral College or other structural barriers, you still have an impact on many local and state elections that can affect your daily life. And I also think if we turn out in sufficient numbers, if we overwhelm the ballot, then I am confident that Black women will continue to have an important role in determining the outcome of this election.
Now, a major concern for black women is voting rights. According to Democracy Docket, there are already over 200 legal cases regarding voting in the 2024 election cycle. You can expect a lot of post-election litigation as well. And we know that efforts to suppress the vote have disproportionately impacted on black Americans. How confident are you that even when black women do show up to the ballot box, their votes will be counted and voices will be heard?
I got to tell you, I'm pretty confident because we're already in litigation to protect the right to vote. We at the Legal Defense Fund have been fighting for voting rights and ensuring that the barriers erected to turn people away from the polls, to make it more difficult for them to vote, are challenged, and that we are out there in full force with poll monitors, with litigation ready to go if it isn't already in progress, to protect the right to vote. That should not be a reason for people not to come out and cast a ballot. We must turn out in the largest numbers possible to overwhelm the ballot, to make it too big to rig, to ensure that our voices are heard and that we get to determine our future.
Now, it's not just the White House, as you said, but Congress is at stake as well. The 2024 election could see 2 black women elected to the Senate in the same cycle for the first time in American history, with Lisa Blunt, Rochester of Delaware, and Angela Also Brooks of Maryland. Can you talk about what's at stake this election and how those stakes might mobilize black women voters?
Yeah, well, we know that in the 2022 elections, where we had significant turnout among young people, among people of color, we saw the complexion of Congress change dramatically. There are 30 black women who are representatives in Congress now. And as you noted, there's the possibility to elect more. We have the most diverse Congress that we've ever had in terms of age, in terms of religious background, in terms of gender identity. Every possible diversity measure that you can think of is being represented in our Congress, which means that it reflects more of the American people. It looks more like the electorate that these individuals will represent. And we can continue to do that if we show up at the polls again in November, where we'll be electing a third of the Senate, where we'll be electing, many governors across the country. It is so important that we recognize that it's not just the presidential election, which is critically important. Absolutely. I don't want to underestimate that. But there are so many other important offices on the ballot, and Congress is the body that passes legislation. Congress can actually do much more in many ways to correct some of the inequities that we see than the president in that person's sole executive power. So we need to understand how all of it works. And of course, there's the possibility of there being openings on the Supreme Court. And we want to make sure that we have the right Senate to confirm the right justices on the Supreme Court if that opportunity arises.
In yesterday's show, on this show, we talked about Marcellus Williams, who was executed this week by the state of Missouri, despite questions about his innocence and over objections from the family of his alleged victim. During Trump's final months in office, he resumed federal executions after a 17-year hiatus, and his administration saw the most federal executions in over a century. Project 2025 also calls on the next Republican president to execute all remaining inmates on federal death row. What effect would expanding this barbaric practice have on us as a society?
Well, we know that the United States is one of the leaders in executing individuals, its own citizens, as a form of cruel and unusual punishment. The Legal Defense Fund has been opposed to the death penalty for our entire existence. We were the only organization to secure a moratorium of the death penalty in 1973 for 5 years, saving hundreds of lives. And we continue to push against capital punishment for the very reasons you outlined. Not only do we think it is a barbaric practice that has no place in modern society, but you are often finding innocent people caught in the crosshairs of an underfunded system, a inherently racist system where Black people and other people of color are disproportionately put to death by the state. If you look at the number of people on death row, more than half of them are people of color.
Right. That is absolutely correct. We was outlining it last night. I'm glad not only you outlined it, but I know for working with you as my capacity in National Action Network, no one is more committed to fighting this than the Legal Defense Fund under your leadership. Thank you, Janae Nelson, president of the NAACP Legal Defense and Educational Fund. Black Women in America, The Road to 2024 airs tonight at 9 p.m. right here on MSNBC.